Hello and good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Obilo. I will be your host for the evening as we celebrate the official book release of Memories of the Future. At this time, it is my pleasure to welcome to the stage the person that dares me to believe in myself, my literal brother from the same mother, our guest of honor, Obilo.
A preface. This story encapsulates two eras in my life, set nearly 16 years apart. Two inherently different versions of me. Two distinct moments that still I find bear a great resemblance to one another. For both came wrapped in great uncertainty. In both the salve was the same. Seeking refuge, I found more of myself in pen, paper, and pulse, attempting to address the central question to life. What's next? You see, once upon a time, in the midst of that first era, I had ready to write a book. In fact, I had ready to write this book, or at least to compose what I thought it could be. One of vaguely similar ethos, a labyrinth of the mind with a roadmap laid out through its table of contents. And then my hard drive crashed. The computer died, yes, but it also erased a piece of who I was. Ironic that a person always so full of words could fall victim to the very technology I'd allowed to serve as a backstop to my memories. But I digress. As the moment of life carried me forward, the prose inexplicably stopped. Spirit and ink waned. What was supposed to be a minute became a day, became a month, became a decade. After a point, you cease to feel like a writer. Until the dawn of this new era. Redefined as was the first by a virus. Except this glitch rendered a response that was unexpected. Improbably, it took the way of the world to crash for my own drive to reboot. So I endeavor again to write this book, a book whose DNA has changed irreparably, for it is more broken, it is more honest, it is more patchwork, it is more forgiving. For it understands that I had a very different idea of what this book would look like 16 years ago. Understands I had a very different idea of what today would look like then too. Understands there is different content, different context. But it is altogether me, as it had been, as it is, etched within a time, but wanting. So my aim is to share both these moments with you. And most importantly, I feel compelled to share them together. As a bridge to the past, as a glimpse to the future. Because I meant everything I sought to share years ago, and although that moment has already passed, it has not been passed over. Indeed, that moment led me directly to this one. And so here we are, sharing in and of this new moment, full of its own unique meaning, knowing full well that this moment too shall pass. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us. As mentioned, my name is Obinna C. Obilo, also known as Obi. I am so grateful that you could join us for this moment in time to share in the release of my new book, Memories of the Future. And we have a great program for you all. I have three amazing guests in addition to the host, my sister, Ijama Obilo Faison. We have the entire Excelano Project family from the University of Pennsylvania. I know there are some folks from the family who've joined us tonight, so I thank you so much. I thank my friends who have joined, colleagues, anyone who just joined randomly. We are thankful. We're happy to be in this moment, and we invite you to embrace it and to enjoy this evening with us. So, without further ado, I'd like to introduce the first guest. And I'm going to read the bio. I will pontificate a little bit. EJ, I see you on screen. Thank you so much for agreeing to host this event. It would not be the same without you and without our family, so I thank you for that. Without further ado, I'm going to introduce the first guest of the evening, Mr. Justin Riley. Justin Riley is an entrepreneur, innovator, strategist, and thought leader, passionate about the intersection of product, technology, and design. He is currently the Chief Product Officer at Ting, Two Ghosts. Outside of the office, Justin is an award-winning spoken word artist, a graduate from the Wharton Business School, and a Penn basketball alum. He possesses an unhealthy obsession with solving hard problems and a general disdain for low-hanging doorways and small spaces. I'd like to also add, as I bring Justin onto the stage, that I am very, very appreciative that he was able to join when I was putting this program together and thinking about friends and friends like family that I wanted to join in this space and participate in this moment. Honestly, he was the first, one of the first people, or if not the first person that I thought of to participate and to bring in and celebrate this evening. And so, without further ado, I again introduced my dear friend Justin Riley. Justin,
my man.
Right.
Listen, man, before I get into a couple of poems, I just want to say while you're still on the screen, I've watched you work on this project, and I know it's been many years in the making. And just as a friend and a brother, I'm so proud of the work that you've done here, man. I know it came from your soul. So just know that I'm thankful to be here tonight.
I appreciate you. Thank you so much.
All right. So I'm going to run through just two poems. Since Obi is the OG from EP, I went way back into the archives. This first one is from, I think, 2008, 2009, which feels like, an eternity ago. And it's a poem called Sunset. I took the bus today for no other reason than to ride. Nostalgic and humbled, a basket case of tambourines and words that didn't come out the right way. Today I feel whole. I started to write, and almost out loud to the sound of the groceries sitting in the old woman's lap next to me sounded like I've been there before. I bled. Battle tested with a chorus of crickets holding Play-Doh microphones in my stomach, and there are songbirds playing Miles Davis on Beechwood saxophones because they are tired of singing together. The tide is strong and figure, why not try something new today? By the hand of something bigger than ourselves. We will embark on a mission more tedious than ever imagined, sit on the sideline of a game none of us know how to play all that well, because life is a series of speed bumps and lightning bolt triumphs. The wind can carry us as far as we will allow it to, and the light will illuminate our footsteps home. We just have to have faith in the darkness to stand its ground. Beauty is a ladybug on your car window. The silent staring contest between a 2-year-old and her red balloon, the grip, hand to pinky finger of her father. The first day she learns how to walk, we all find it easy to get caught up in the chaos. Commercials at the Super Bowl and Charlie Sheen on 2020. Yeah, that's how old this poem is. Charlie Sheen is in this poem. Okay, we'll get back to it. Immerse ourselves in things that don't really matter. Backburner smile our priorities into oblivion. Like if we cover our ears long enough, the ringing will stop. Pause, just long enough to hear the tremors. Run your fingerprints over your bones. Identify the feelers. Know that everyone in this room can be the inspirational quote they just retweeted. That life, the car crash masterpiece that it is just something we are all learning to breathe into. Everyone around us, focused or not, has a 7-year-old schoolboy of a heart deep down. We all just want to know the answers. The lucky ones, though, get to the end of the test and realize there were only a few worth knowing anyway. Put your pen down, shout at the top of your lungs, Samson-esque, stammering or not, like the most beautiful megaphone of a chest plate that never held silence long enough to breathe out. Scream until you're hoarse, smile until your teeth hurt, laugh until your side splits, and love until you get lost in it. We are given few things in this world: life and the knowledge that it is fragile. Everything else is just a runway. We are either crash landing or taking off. Take off. Every technicolor robe of hurt these men have placed upon you. Stand naked and transparent. I know your wonder who cries for the lightning bugs, and I'll tell you, I know a few. You'll smile and call me a liar. Then I'll show you a bright red mason jar and ask you if you can smell the heartbeat, taste the sunset, and you will worry that you can't do any of these things. I'll tell you it's okay. We are all just learning to love ourselves. There is nothing wrong with being broken. It's the glue sticking that matters. How you pull your bootstraps out of the darkness, the width of back on top of the horse in your smile. That is the miracle of falling. The way in which you decide to get back up, get up. For everything you have stood for and everything they don't, get up. For the bus rides, the Sammy Davis Jr.'s riding 45 minutes to their third job of the day. For the girls who have never known the piercing face of trust. And for the boys who told you they left their heart in a musty strip club 8 years ago, lift your arms, widen your legs, swagged out and sturdy like there's an army of archangels in your backdrop glowing like the apocalypse. Lift your chin, step halfway out of the darkness. Take a deep breath. Burn this image in the depths of your retinas. Taste the triumph in your chuckle and never look back. All right. So the last poem I'll do here before we move on is a poem called Inspiration. I think this is circa 2010. This might be like last EP show, crying in a puddle of tears that my poetry career was over. Unlike everyone else on this show tonight. Okay, so I'll run through this quickly. I met a queen once. She had a smile that reeked of, I've been there before and it's been a while since we've met, so let's take a moment to get reacquainted. The last time we cuddled like this, we were merely thoughts, muddled between heavy breathing and I love yous playing hopscotch in heaven. I remember letting you win, knowing it would come in handy 22 years later. The funny thing is you grinned like you already knew how to make me feel like a king. I was shy for 9 months. I have a feeling you never were. Everything about your breath reminds me of the bright side of my heart that I always tend to forget too easily, like some drunken bartender who misplaces his keys. There was a North Star in your fingertips. I was in a hole once, more like a crate of the deepest crevice this side of heartbreak, and you candle wax blew me a safety net. Even before I knew I was drowning, there's something epic in that lifeguard red soul of yours, something that deserves more than words. You deserve a sonnet, spit over a shooting star, a song so beautiful only queens were afforded the chance to listen, but we both know you would find some way to let everyone else in on the secret. You are everything subtle and everything grand, a bright light under a bushel basket who waits patiently, knowing one day the world will be ready enough to see her shine. There is more than just wonder in your spine, more than just swagger in your hips. There's a universe in your rib cage that I'm just learning exists, a world of relief under your skin, and the jukebox in my chest is playing songs I've never heard before and making me nostalgic for places I've never been. A few months ago, I would have never dreamt of being in a Greek god fairy tale, a Promethean fire of a cipher, an adoration battle between your eyes and my soul. The way you always seem to win, there's something to be said for the way you glow in the transparency of my skin when you smile, even remotely in my direction. I light up like red, white, and blue rocket pops in the middle of July. God has blessed me with a modern day miracle in the sanctity of your eyes. The Mount Olympus in your voice reminds me of everything coveted and everything beautiful about free will and choice. You are the woman I've written about for almost a decade, a sapphire in the dust, a prayer that I've been blessed enough to touch. You are a soft whisper in a mother's bedtime story, the footnote to my heartbeat, the breath on my breast, a queen in waiting, a temple surrounded by the holy water in your chest. You are everything I have prayed for and everything I didn't know I could have. You are the punchline, the climax in every poem I have ever written. And I am forever grateful to God for affording me the chance to meet my inspiration.
Oh man. Oh man. The one thing I want to say, and Justin, thank you so much for those two amazing pieces. Your voice, the timbre, the earnestness, the beauty with which you write is always something that has spoken to me for a long time. And I thank you so much for sharing that with me tonight and with our audience as well. I want to shout out the Riley family. I saw your sisters in here, and I'm sure the rest of the family's tuning in. Again, thank you for your brotherhood, for your fellowship, and for supporting me on this very important night in my life. And as the people are saying, they're loving the bars. So thank you again, brother. Much appreciated,
brother. I appreciate you. Thank you so much.
All right. And so right now we're going to do a very quick kind of Q&A session with our host, Ijama Obilo Faison. Please.
Welcome back, everyone. I am just telling everybody on my Instagram to tune in because this is great. So, Obi, first of all, you have some really amazing and dynamic friends. Everyone is definitely in for a treat, especially with the people that are coming up next. So let's talk about the book. When did the inspiration to write Memories of the Future come to you? And I feel a little salty because I didn't even realize that this was happening. So go ahead, tell us about it.
Yeah, so and that's an interesting question, and I'll be quick about it. Really, there's two things, and that's what I try to highlight in the preface. Is I started writing components of this book back in 2004, and so my first book, Within This Welded Spirit, which I have laying right here. Everybody, if you remember this guy, my first book, Within This Welded Spirit, was written in 2004, right after I graduated college. And I had started writing new stuff that I had already intended to be in another book. And from 2004, I already knew that the name of my next book was going to be Memories of the Future. Right. So the name is not a new phenomenon for me. And what happened is that also, as I speak about, is that my hard drive crashed on my computer, and I just got away from writing for a bunch of things between graduate school and working and other pressures. I just got away from writing. I didn't feel like myself as a writer anymore, and I put it away. And then, the coronavirus happens, and being quarantined and working from home.
In your house.
Yeah, everybody's trapped in the, bored in the house, and I'm in the house bored, and really what I started doing was just writing in observing. And I started doing this thing. It was hashtag Corona Chronicles. And I have a number of friends who have joined. I see Tanya. I don't know if my friends Fritz or Kirby have joined, but there are a number of really, really important people who reached out to me and just said, whatever you're doing with this project, I like it. And I want to see you do something with it. And I just started working on it. And then there was actually a point when I decided, you know what, I'm going to write a book. And so when people ask the question, how long did it take you to write the book? The answer is either a month and a half from when I decided to write it to when I finished the manuscript, or 16 years.
Right.
And then, the seed was first planted.
Yeah. And just really quickly, what inspired you, I guess, to write it in the setting of a pandemic, in the way that you kind of constructed it? Because I find that to be very interesting.
Yeah, so the book is constructed almost like a poetic journal. And so again, when you start reading the book, it's more observational. And again, there's works from other times in my life that are interspersed, but it starts on day 1 and it ends on day 100. And it starts being more observational, as I think we all were during the pandemic. This is going to end, as soon as we're done, as soon as this clears up, we're going to go right back to the life that we were leading. And that was the first thought. Then the second thought was, wow, this is not what we think it is. And then I think there you come to, I think people, then start to understand that we need to rethink of the way that we're approaching things and the way that we approach the world. And one of the things that I found is that people have been far more intentional about conversations and showing each other, and just reaching out to people, checking on them, checking on their welfare. And so I think I started feeling more in tune with my own writing and my own spirit in that way. And people gravitate to things that they are comfortable with. And I'm just so thankful that I consider myself a writer, and that the writing in a way found me during this time, because this really was something that helped me get through this period. And hopefully when people see the book, it's something that, especially if they're thinking about it in a reflective way, helps them sort of embrace and appreciate what this time has meant for all of us, honestly.
Awesome. Well, I'm going to turn it back over to you to introduce your next amazing friend.
Awesome. And thank you again, EJ. And thanks everybody who's tuned in. Very much appreciative. Our next guest is an amazing young brother, also a fellow Jersey City resident. So I've got a lot of love for him. He's got the headphones on. I feel like we're on CNN right now. So Courtney Lamar Charleston is a UPenn graduate, earning dual degrees from the Wharton School and the College of Arts and Sciences. His poetry is a kind of marriage between art and activism, and he serves as poetry editor at The Rumpus, as well as on the Alice James Book editorial board. His debut full-length poetry collection, Telepathologies, was selected for the 2016 Saturnalia Books Poetry Prize. His second full-length collection, Doppelgangbanger, that's a dope title, bro. Doppelgangbanger will be published in February of next year by Haymarket Books. So without further ado, let me turn it over to another one of my brothers who I got a lot of love for, my brother Courtney. Thank you so much for joining tonight, and share your gift with the world, brother. Thank you so much.
No doubt. Thank you for inviting me, Obi, for thinking of me to come and celebrate this book coming into the world with you and with Justin and Alicia, and I'm just really excited to be here and excited to be able to gather with folks, virtually nonetheless, but still to be able to gather with folks for something positive at a time like this. Before I get to the poems, I guess, I want to say, first of all, congratulations on actually, completing this project and getting it out into the world. I haven't finished it yet, but I've been reading through. And so I've been trying to meditate on kind of what to read tonight and thinking about the work that you put together. And with the pandemic, such a clear and obvious backdrop to the text, it's making me think a lot about human connection in really different ways. That absence of connection that we've all been living through for the past too long now. I can't even keep count of the days anymore, but it's really got me in a more contemplative place, and definitely makes me appreciative for the love and the loved ones, blood or not, that I have in my life. And so shout out to everybody who's joining us tonight to be part of this celebration, be part of this community, and let us all hold on each other. So that's what I'll say before I get to the poems. I'm going to read two newer poems that I'm working through, and I hope you all enjoy them. Cotton Variation. Always there if I reach for relief, thick in the bottle's neck like draw, fibrous little trauma fruit, wan little wound liquor. Body droughted to the point of dysfunction, my migrained mind tilts toward translucence, splitting every thought into image and after image as I freedom ride remix backseat, Oxford bound with the brave new voices for our time. And yet it's these downy white balls of narrative thread that most separate me from my customary comfort. Slick Southern taunts aimed at this grandson of Mississippi born, of all unforgivables, Black and Yankee and free by the letter of the law. It hurts to consider how much hurt it took to provide its abundance here. Still, hugging to the highway for miles and miles and miles into the past or the future, whichever way the head of the moving car is pointed, north or south, arbitrary. My, how strange it feels, touching what homegoing is while your heart still pumps blood as a pump jack flows oil from earth, pushes another kind of gold through you, a deep glory, a shine that was suffered for, the familial histories that make you suffocated by distance, distance meaning time, meaning space, meaning maybe deliberate decision. You know, I really wonder where Granny got her hands from, so genius in the soil. How she makes a lush garden grow on a small south side plot every spring is a soothing secret. Ghosts are real. She may be one of them, as I might be, a blurry life seen through hers. Hence my soul singing in cool flame as I stand on this ground where my bones, or what shapes me, must already be buried between the roots of clouds. That's the first one. Then this next poem is somewhat of a meditation on my paternal grandmother, and it's after a photograph by Russell Lee, this famous photograph taken on the south side of Chicago with these young boys in the early 40s sitting on the hood of a car. Some of you might have seen that photograph before, but I used that to write a bit of an ekphrastic, mythological poem towards my grandmother, who I never met. So I hope you enjoy this one as well. Negro boys on Easter morning, South Side, Chicago, Illinois, 1941, after Russell Lee. She didn't live to tell me, but I branch from her in tribute like a strand of water. So I know by way of blood flow about the hoopla and hysteria they stirred up among the girlish masses in their heyday. Those sweet young bucks on all the wall posters, antecedents to the R&B boy band acts urbanites grew used to hearing on the radio through the Reagan years and beyond them. So, say in this era it's not a Ronnie, but a Ronald we genuinely love, a Ralph, a Richard, not a Ricky, a Robert, not a Bobby, a Michael, yes. Maybe I've mixed up all their names, or maybe the names don't matter much because when one of us dies, we all die. And when one of us lives, we all live. And oh, how we get our lives from these boys, these junior dapper dons dressed to the nines, posed on the car hood with intention to seduce an eye, towing the fine line between deacon-like and delinquent with their Easter Sunday looks, the appeal they had to all their obsessive admirers, slightly younger than she, speeding toward womanhood all around the South Side, and also stretching south to where the living wasn't so large for us as these boys made it appear to distant cousins left behind, driving droves into the city of big shoulders, which sounds, in all sincerity, like the kind of man worth marrying someday. That such strong men were found there. That, I believe, given the times, may have been a whispered hope, and that, I hope, is what happened on her side, but she didn't live to tell me. When I dip ear into my blood, all I hear is ballad, fanatical applause. Thank you.
My brother, thank you so much, man. The line that took me out, it was the line about your grandmother's hands. When we think about the tributaries in the lines, the reading of lines, family lineage, and oh man, what a two beautiful pieces. If those are what's going to be in Doppelgangbanger, I want in, and the folks want in too. Thank you so much, brother,
Thank you.
for sharing with us, and in this moment, I appreciate your art. I appreciate you even more than your art, and I know you know that. So thank you. And without further ado, we're going to go into the next part of the program, which is another brief Q&A before we bring on our last guests of the evening. EJ, you and yeah, it's your thing. It's we're gonna keep doing this. I like it.
Right. You can't fire me because I'm your sister. So
nah, you're not going anywhere. It's
thank
fine.
you. So what I was saying was that that was amazing, and I literally have lines that I'm writing down because I feel like I need to use them on people just randomly. So let's talk about something. Since the book has come out, you've been kind of speaking about, you've been speaking in a bunch of different places and whatnot. And something that really struck me and has stuck out is the fact that as you were writing this and kind of like the whole memories of the future thing, you now have this sense of grace that you say that you extend to people more. And I want you to talk about that a little bit and what that means and kind of how you got here, but in the context of kind of where the world is, I guess, at this time.
Yeah, I would say outside of the exploration of time as a linear and nonlinear concept in the book, grace is probably the most prevalent, or I hope it's the most prevalent theme that comes through. And for me, I don't necessarily think that it's just a book through which I manifest it. I think, this time that we're in, this time of great upheaval, great personal, financial, philosophical, political uncertainty that we're in, we're in a global community, and everybody is dealing with this in some acute way. This is not something where one tranche of the world or one segment of the world, has heard of it. Everybody globally has had some experience with this virus, has had some experience with potentially losing someone or knowing somebody who's lost someone, or just observing, the fear and all the things that are going on in this time. And one of the things that I realized, before this, but especially now, is that we just need to make more space for people, to go through whatever they're going through. I realized just with age that, I don't have all the answers. And I think, one of the nice things about being a writer, and especially rediscovering writing in this time, is that you realize inherently that you can never be correct. You can never be right. I mean, I published the book, but in some ways the book may never be finished. I could probably go back and find something that I would have changed, a punctuation mark, a spacing, a word. And so I think that we have to allow ourselves sometimes to be fallible and admit that we are fallible beings. And I mentioned this in other forums that, we're in an age of social media and other things where, you almost feel like you always have to be right, that you are the center of the universe, you are the center of attention. And I think I just feel like it's more important now than ever to be able to come to the middle, to be able to have discourse. And, I'm not an agree to disagree person. I don't think that some things are non-negotiable, but I think that there has to be room for understanding and appreciating who people are and being able to lift people up because you understand that, what they're going through and may not be articulating is probably very akin to what you are going through as a person. And so that's, kind of how I feel about this concept of grace and just being fair and being good to people.
Right. I feel like there's a lot of unintentional introspection going on with people just everywhere. And I know that there's been a lot of things that I've had to think about just being in this setting as well. And, I definitely appreciate that. If there, besides grace and all those other things, there was a message that you wanted people to get from the book, what would it be?
If there's one message, or if there's a message for people to get from the book besides being able to show each other grace,
Mm-hmm.
I think, learning how to live sometimes in the gray, right? That, that we are in a time of uncertainty. And I think there's a piece when I speak about it, one of the pieces in the book, I talk about the fact that this moment is a moment of heroism for all of us. That, there are a number of people who, will say, like, and again, I'm not one of the people who even said this before, that, if you don't, start a company, or you don't do something of some kind of note, that you've wasted this time. And I think we are seeing people are losing loved ones. They're going through emotional trauma, financial trauma. Their families are going through, some kind of unrest. People are like your kids are home. Parents are trying to work and teach their kids at the same time. And so, I think, we have to just kind of give ourselves, some room, and try to be supportive as a community. And so I'm so happy again that everybody has been able to join us tonight. I look upon you as my community, and hopefully we can continue to extend this out, and people feel like they can reach out to others, and they can show support and show love in a very genuine way. And hopefully that's something that, comes through the book, or just comes through, my own personal philosophy.
Well, I've definitely learned a lot from you in this short period of time, but just over life, just in general. So I'm going to turn it back over to you so that you can introduce your next fabulous friend.
Awesome. Thank you once again, EJ. And, right now I'm going to bring onto the stage a fabulous individual. When I asked her to join, I called her. I said, "Do you have 5 minutes?" And we ended up on the phone for about an hour and change, just pontificating about life. And I'm so thankful that you had the opportunity to join us, Alicia. You are an amazing artist, an amazing art. Folks, like, you might be like, "Why is he here?" Once you hear Alicia. And so I thank you so much from the bottom of my heart for taking the time out. You are a firebrand, and you are a beautiful soul. And I'm looking forward to hearing you share. But let me go into your bio. Alicia, if you want to take yourself off mute really quick, but let me go into your bio, just so the folks know what it is we're contending with. Now, somebody is a star when they go to the University of Pennsylvania, and that's not even in their bio. So Alicia Nicole Harris is a poet, linguist, and teaching artist. She received her PhD in linguistics from Yale University and her MFA in poetry from NYU. Alicia's debut chapbook won the 2015 New Women's Voices Series Prize. Her work has appeared in dozens of publications, and her poetry has garnered over 5 million views on YouTube. Alicia has spent over a decade performing nationally and internationally. She now lives in Atlanta, where she serves as the art and soul editor for Scalawag magazine, and is working on her next book. Alicia, thank you so much for joining tonight. And without further ado, let me turn it over to you.
Oh, Obi, I'm so glad to be here. And congratulations on your book. And just wisdom looks so good on you, like.
And the beard, but wisdom.
And the beard. I think not only like in your book, but as a person, you extend grace to people. And that's like a space that you open up when you enter a room or when you talk to someone. And not just like grace, but there's always like a joy there as well. And it's infectious, and it rubs off on other people. So I'm really excited that you asked me to read with you tonight, and congrats again.
Thank you so much.
I'm going to read 3 poems, 2 of which are pretty short. These are all from my newer work exploring religion and belief, and and like that's it. Less intro, more poem. All right, the first poem is called Norse Gods. Scales gleaming, sun polished near the creek behind my granddaddy's house. I thought I saw him, dragon pet of Ishtar, beguiler of Eve, the insatiable, the snake swollen and splitting itself open to devour a stag whose silhouette was still visible, Jormungandr, whose belly is full of edible thyme. Inside him, the world's treasures jingle and squirm, which is more than can be said for the limbless soldiers days earlier laid out like tadpoles on their hospital beds as he drags his gut over the backbone of the earth. One boy, delusional and already carrying his funeral boat, walks to his Scandinavian heaven. Speaking of heat, Valkyries, the dead are further south than you've ever been. The war's over. The stag stops twitching. Each predator slips into the shape of its prey, finally, before exploding. The Norse Ouroboros lets itself go to swallow the sun. Our whole house waited for the dawn's new mercies, as promised by the Lord. The less obscure Semitic god reaches for the sky. When the light appeared this morning through my window, I swore I heard it hiss. All right, the second poem is called Pray. And yeah, it's about hearing the call to prayer for the first time and just being really struck and mesmerized by it. Pray. I was smaller then, a wolf, its back turned, panting far on the horizon. I stood on the hill above Istanbul's clutter, watching each skyscraper claw its way out of the dark webbing that great Shelob must have spun. She built her nest on a giant minaret and sends her nets to catch the faithful, those with no wings or shoes to run in. Disembodied like fire from the cardinal and the ordinal directions, the tireless call to prayer, even here, hunts me down more than my enemies. Arachnidin arms swaddle me in the many harmonic silks. I finally lay down, Allahu Akbar, heart thudding. Greater, indeed greater, I assented, was consumed. And then this last poem is like a little bit happy, I guess. It is new. Joy drenched at the golden hour, as the light flunks and the leaves flirt, as my mind hazeled and hazy from all that is fall, drunk stutters, day lighted to number another breath. I am usually a sea of doubt. Today I am parted. God walks his feet over my naked floor. Today I am a tomb for Pharaoh's horses. Today I desire to be overcome like that. Today I am not my name, but the name that you give me. Today I undouble my mind and become solid. Today I unspool my heart and become strings on a tireless guitar. Today you are not far and I am coming back to you, but how? How can I give back what was never mine? How can I say I and separate myself from what animates me? A self I claimed because I was wind-wilt, sea-lent, a broken cob in a low country boil. I resisted heat and fire. I resisted every dissection, not understanding I was made to be consumed. My highest use is to lose myself in the appetite of God. Today, I want to be remade 1,000 times by the shifting angle of sun as it beams down and reminds me, yes, you were created, but not as you are, become as you were. An emission gas of a carbon star, salvaged meteor flag, vintage sky parts. Yes, you intensely derivative being, I will break you of your need to be original. I will cure you of your unique disease. I will make you common and happy, created and content. I will bring you back into the fold, into the old order, into the world crease. I will make it again easy to be alive, though it has never been a thing of ease to be alive. But what is not easy about this afternoon? What way can God present himself, master of your heart in which you do not swoon? Allow the takeover, allow wind over the field, allow the uncoupling of your back and so much weight. It is spring in my heart, and the birds are daft with song. It is spring in my heart, and the flowers are on my face. It is spring in my heart, though the good of summer fades. It is still spring in my heart. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that. That was amazing. That was amazing. I'm Obi's sister, by the way. Nice to meet you.
Hi. So nice to meet you. Yeah, thank you guys for letting me read. It was just
incredibly beautiful. Well, we thank you so much for being here with us tonight, and thank you so much for your time. I am now going to take the opportunity to formally introduce Obinna Chima Obim Obilo. I'm going to read his bio. I feel a little weird reading his bio because I'm his sister, but for all of you who don't know him, who are just getting introduced to him, who need to understand who this magnificent individual is, see his picture there. He is a professional writer and poet hailing from New Jersey and currently residing in Jersey City. He was born in Canada. He is the first child of 2 Nigerian immigrants and was born in Montreal, there we go, where his family resided before moving to the United States. He, of course, is the author of Memories of the Future, as well as Within This Welded Spirit. Obinna is an alumnus of the University of Pennsylvania, having received both his undergraduate degree and his MBA from the Wharton School. So once again, formally and officially introducing Obinna Chima Obim Obilo to the stage. Igwe!
Hey. Thank you, EJ, so much for participating in this moment. And I'm going to get into it. I have a number of pieces that I want to share with you all. Just as a quick note, actually one note, just because I didn't get a chance to think. At least I literally spit my water out on one of the bars. Just incredible poetry. But I'm going to be reading off from the book. I prefer reading from the page. It feels more authentic. So if there's a couple of nits or anything, just bear with me. It's part of the editorial process. Without further ado, I'm going to go into the first piece, Untitled Love Poem number 2. Once, you asked me to write you poetry, blind to the fact that ever since we've met, I've been searching for the words to feel my way through the labyrinth I called us. So I started to pen words for you that would sing like infants at the crack of life. Figured that if my tenor and diction scaled to the peak of Everest, carve your pain into my history like palm prints that you couldn't help but be swayed by the power of my convictions. I even attempted to sketch you a ballad that would reach into the vortex of your stares and pluck carnations from the brown tinted glint of your left iris, but I had to restrain myself. See, poetry doesn't manifest itself through reality. Poems are born through temptations and yearning, green like nascent gardens, sprouting from ideas planted in heartbeats and nurtured with hope and conjecture. So today there will be no poetry for you. Instead, there is only the broken silence I kept buried in my throat for 8 years, along with the warped sound of your name etched into my retinas and the look of courage I finally found to let the truth unravel from my tongue. Once there was a time when I would have stretched my possibilities for you, like a parabola searching for heaven. A time when your footfalls could force my stomach to stutter step and pause like a lunar eclipse. Once there was a time your eyes shone like supernovae, and when you blink, I burst into galaxies, then scrambled to pick sunspots from my visions like daydreams. There was a time when your face used to make my cheeks refract like prisms, begging me to embrace your waist with my laughter, echoing in the hollows of thunderclaps, a time when I would have flown halfway across my mind to watch your essence twitch over my synapses and play tag with my memories. But today, there will be no poetry for you. Today, I realize that a person can only lie to his conscience but so much. I understand that a maze must have a finish line. See that my imagination cannot cultivate a garden the way sunlight and water do. So today is the last day I will torture myself by breathing in the scent of your hair and dancing on the reflection of your eyes. Today is the last day I will wander the desert endlessly for you, because there are only so many moments I can suffer the surreal to resurrect myself from scorched earth, bearing the burden of sand-soaked lips and the belief that one day you'll be ready to cry me an oasis. Today, I must revoke your involuntary overtures. I will no longer be fooled by your touch, and I am burning the last threads of the bridge between my soul and your kiss. Today, I offer you only a goodbye and my apologies, because today there will be no poetry for you. I don't think I could ever find the right words. All right, so the next piece, and again, thank you for joining this evening. The next piece in the book is Day 70, Writer's Block. I feel renewed. Stories I have wanted to share for many years are finally resurfacing and spilling forth. Ideas are being nurtured, tended to. What has sprung wild with promise is being manicured. Not every season of hibernation is of equal length. Some endeavor to never relent. I have reconciled this reality in the landscape that spans my thoughts. But when one observes the flora and the fauna flourishing, there is no longer reason to hide in place. I must yield to my own nature. I must mark this season of new growth before the tundra threatens to return. It is deserved, and I am deserving. Give them their flowers while they're alive, as the kids would say. Let this book be a bouquet, a brief timestamp of this journey while it remains in full bloom. All right. So some of the I guess the first pieces I'm sharing really have to do with writing and why I write. And that's kind of, a lot of what I've shared so far. And this piece is, for me, is somewhat emblematic of that. It's called For Kim. And that's when I realized that there would always be the gap between what the heart felt and what the mind could accurately express. Understand that every poem is a futile attempt to capture life's perfect moments, and you will reach the epiphany that we are not artists at all, only wingless ghosts chasing the dream that once we will not have betrayed our own imaginations before the ink even has a chance to dry. So here I am again, laden with imperfection. Nothing like the words I have written, and I will continue to share all of me in ironic hyperbole until I am completely unwound, standing before you devoid of skin, left side of my chest open, beating out rhythms on my rib cage, clutching pens pulsing with allegory. You see, in this grand pursuit of purpose, I have sacrificed my right to the obliviousness. Poems have ruined some of my favorite clothes, bleeding mental stains on the inner pockets of jeans like uncapped memories pouring forth. Raw, unfettered, unembarrassed. Converting scrap notes and deciphering emptiness. Editing emotion to make sure speech moves in step with metaphor. Grabs imagery and extends it into the abyss, struggling to translate the chaotic ugliness and unbridled joy of this world. See, it is all a process of resurrection. Because these days, happiness is much harder to come by. People actually need to give reasons for smiling. as though laughter must be carefully rationed, so the wounded are sent back into society, growing ever more fearful of death and scared by life. So I write these words to have my dreams reborn. I write because the memories of my ancestors are still covered in scar tissue, but I am teaching myself how to heal because compassion leads to revolution. I write because when she was 10 years old, my cousin told me she wanted to write a book just like mine when she grew up. And it's really amazing that the times we doubt our own self-worth are the exact instances someone else needs us most. It gives us reason enough to shine the light for tomorrow's children, because the youth we choose to nurture yesterday will be the ones who cure AIDS, will spurn hate, will preach faith, for salvation is possible in the lapse of each breath. We write because we are merely well-meaning sinners, attempting to give birth to new humanities like the Virgin Mary's first contractions. So know that the power of God is in each of us, waiting to transform these precious seconds into beautiful eternities. And we keep writing because we deserve better than this, because we will never be satisfied, never stop writing until that gap between feeling and expression is bridged, until we reclaim that piece of perfection we were all born with, when our collective souls will earthquake, our eyes will shamelessly shed lightning and rain down laughter, our voices swelling with smiles. So please, all I'm asking for is another chance in the nearest pen. I want to remind the world what it means to be happy again. So thank you all again. As I keep going, we're gonna read you through some pieces that really spoke to me in the book. There's almost 50 pieces in the book, but again, tonight I just wanted to share of and in moments with you all. This piece is called Day 68, and I am including this as a tribute to my nephews. My sister has 2 sons. It was written the day of my oldest nephew's birthday, and my youngest nephew, his birthday is this weekend, and so I thought it was a fitting tribute and a fitting way to go into a couple of the pieces that really focus on family. Part 1. We attempted our first family Zoom meeting to celebrate my oldest nephew's 4th birthday. The tribe was generally called to order. Ages ranged from infant to infinitely wise. The celebrants seemed reasonably aware of and enthused by the proceedings. There was a lot of love in the room, along with a lot of wonderment. My dad smiled in study faces. My mom appeared particularly giddy for her star turn. In-laws shared grocery lists. Relatives discussed the Zoom on the phone while on the Zoom. My youngest nephew followed the cues of his brother. My sister was bemused by it all. There was cake, and it looked delicious. Candles were lit, and the assembled choir serenaded in a myriad of keys and at differing buffering speeds, all with Grammy-nominated heart and good intention. Jokes were made on quarantine grooming efforts and revised rules on haberdashery. Goodbyes and hellos and promises to see each other made for a cacophony of glee. It was perfect. Part 2. There was nothing virtual about the ties that connect us. No maps are needed to guide kindred souls. So when we are called to gather, we simply meet at coordinates more unique than usual. And we do so joyfully, because it still takes a village to raise a child in a pandemic. The masks and gloves we now don do not mean we abdicate our sworn duties. They are merely the ties we pay today for the hopes of moments to be made together again in the future. Thank you. So that is one of the pieces about family. And again, even in this moment, we are gathered now in a very unique way, and I'm again so appreciative of everyone who has been able to make time and take the time out. This next piece is called Day 82, Time Capsules. Near weekly visits to my parents' house have served as a slight respite from strict quarantine. These are acts of subversion born out of love and longing. For nourishment cannot always be gathered from groceries. Each trip home, my eyes will wander, like those of a toddler or a silent protester, in hopes of new meaning and purpose to be found in familiar places. Today, my treasure hunt unearths a photo album I have ignored in plain sight in the living room. Perhaps as a distraction or as an exercise to lift the growing weight of this country off my chest, I am piqued by what contents lay within. Amidst the chaos of the moment unfolding all around us, as often is the case, first triggered by cowardice, then repurposed by courage, I am immediately stilled by this set of photographs. While the frenetic pace of injustice threatens to sap my strength, I take refuge in these images, finding myself energized by the inert. At once transported, it is now late 1981 or early 1982 in Montreal anew. I find myself transfixed by and in a time I actually never bore witness to. My parents appear in some of the pictures, mere replicas of the people I now know. Included also are a cast of others I do not recall, and that even they may have to strain to remember. I try to imagine what they were like as new immigrants in their early 20s, inhabiting both lands and bodies they didn't yet fully understand. I even wonder if my parents were of flat earth theory, before my mother would become pregnant with new worlds set to revolve around her like her first son. What visions did they have for their lives? What thought was there of legacy and of loss? What did the future feel, smell, taste, and sound like as they tried to make sense of everything? What seems clear is that they were of the moment, that they had the presence of mind to take these photos as a monument to what was in that present. Each shutter click and developed frame a constructed temple, evidence to their having been. A testament understood since the dawn of humanity on how to survive through the unknown. Let your mind rest. Let your heart be still. Let this time be this time. Smile. So the next piece is called Capture This Moment. There is a reason why we trap memories like these in images that dance even when frozen in time. So I ask only one favor of you. Capture this moment. Because in the mind, today is just another day, but in the heart, today is almost certainly a new beginning. Capture this moment for your past, for the friends and family you have assembled here, as well as the ones held tightly in your sentiments, because we will all claim you have grown faster than any time-worn story or camera click could have imagined, and soon you will have no choice but to agree. Capture this moment, because in a world that can't exist without imperfection, you stand in defiance like messengers of God, celebrating matrimony like two stars exploding, giving us a glimpse of what brilliance looks like to the naked eye, blinding and raw, unbridled yet flawless. Capture this moment for your future, which we pray will be blessed with children, because the world desperately needs more people like you. Share this with those precious voices when they ask you of a simpler time, when you will stare at each other solemnly before radiating laughter, most fully aware of what all parents know, that there is nothing easy about raising a family and nothing quite as rewarding. And please, capture this moment for the present, for yourselves and yourselves alone, because memories fade like worn clothes and tears, scars and daydreams and fears. Capture this moment so you can recount that a dress never looked so stunning, flowing like rivers of silk, bright like the heavens adorned it, or that suit jacket never felt so right, draped across your shoulders like royalty. Capture this moment because in this day and age when emotions can be so fleeting and introductions are hindered by hesitance or stifled by circumstance, where moments like these are just a wrong turn or a sliding door from never happening, you somehow found your way to each other like candles in the darkness and stand here now above a sea of smiles with lumped throats and erratic chest beats, hands outstretched like wicks burning from both ends. Please capture this moment, because in 10 years, and in 20 years, and in 50 years, and tomorrow, and forever, you will want to relive this day as if time wouldn't dare wait for anyone else, knowing that in this moment, this love is perfect. Knowing that in this moment, this life is perfect. Thank you. So I have a few more pieces, and just want to let folks, it's probably going to be a very brief Q&A, but I did want to continue to share of the book and of this moment, and I so appreciate everyone joining. This piece right here is about identity. There's a couple pieces about identity. It's called Almost Forgotten. And I remember 9 years old, sitting in the third row, second seat of a fourth grade class with roughly 25 other doe-eyed children. My 50-something-year-old teacher beams one smile at her flock and tells us she's going to lead a 15-minute history exercise where she will help the class figure out the origin of each person's name. Lists run down in orderly fashion. Smith. See, that's straight from England. We chuckle. Blonde-haired girl's name ends in ski. She's immediately recognized as Polish. Talking heads laugh and nod in agreement. Now it's my turn. Teacher studies my 5-letter last name for 10 seconds, brow furrowed. She searches for answers, and as I sit staring at this display, I couldn't help but watch as 4 brightly colored walls cave in. Time rolls backwards. 1992 begins to feel a lot more like 1902. Suburban classroom converts to Ellis Island holding cell. Finally, blue eyes light up. She says, "Okay, Obilo. That's like O''Bilo. Sounds like you have an Irish name." She moves on quickly, but indelible marks etched in brain, and I begin to understand why Lady Liberty looks so stained. This next piece was inspired by Dave Chappelle's amazing recent stand-up, 846, and it is called Day 93 to Reverend William D. Chappelle. For generations, our griots have shared the joys and howled the anguish of our ancestors loud enough to reach the ears of the unborn. In those instances, we are reminded that though our textbooks were stolen and our libraries razed, our stories have endured, written on vocal cords tattooed like ink patches of parchment. You know, it is no accident that in the wingspan of perceptible grasp between a great-grandfather and where we stand today sits over 3 centuries of knowledge within reach of the institutions of our minds. These are the pillars the Parthenon could only pantomime. So do not ever insult me with talk of simply letting go, when these traumas and triumphs still bear a name that reads as my own. Let this journey be an open letter of thanks to the lessons learned from those teachers I will never meet. The reasons that began the reasons I came to be. And I can only hope that their scriptures continue to resonate through me. And this too is my postscript from a time transported only in my veins to the days that have yet to see the children who will yield the grandchildren, who will yield the great-grandchildren I burdened with my legacy. Let no one ever question that I love you, that I have faith in you, and that you will be okay. So I have two more entries in the book that I wanted to share with you very quickly. The one is very quick. It's called Day 95. It's inspired by a very real story when I was about 4 or 5 years old. So Day 95, Sheba. At the age of 4, I learned my first lesson that there is intention in every decision, from an example that echoes till this day. We named the bird after cat food and wondered why it finally found the nerve to fly away. So, ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you so much for joining us. I'm going to read the last piece, and it's actually the last piece in the book. It is called Day 100, How to Survive a Quarantine, the definitive list. Shelter in place. Let your home become a cluttered chrysalis. Rummage through the linens. Have your inner child build a blanket fort to ensconce the both of you. Take inventory of munitions that can be mustered from 7 months of hoarded office supplies. Ensure there is access to potable water and non-perishables like pasta or vodka. Create a laundry list of household needs in order of ascending importance. Microwavable popcorn, crunchy peanut butter, wheat bread, eggs, bacon, cable, internet, privilege, luck, air fryer. Call back your mother. Apologize for not returning her last voicemail that ran 25 seconds too long. Do not admonish her for having sent a 4th unfounded conspiracy video in a week. The last one was a chain forward from your favorite auntie. Pray in ways that stir your spirit. Sacrifice present inconvenience as a small tithe to the future. Feel duty-bound to disciples who will worship your consideration but never once utter your name. Turn on the news. Do not shy away from your role in the world beyond whatever confines of comfort you now find yourself in. Then turn off the news. Reach out to those giants on whose shoulders you literally stood on in childhood. Become the living chronicle of the stories they will be memorialized by. Research absentee ballots and mail-in voting, just in case. Check on the strong friends. Check on the struggling friends. Check on passing acquaintances. Let simple hellos become the distraction necessary to launch 1,000 laughs. Contemplate asking the one who got away for forgiveness. Then stop, for they too deserve any serenities this season may allow. Adopt a new skill suitable for the indoors, like beatboxing, yoga, or trying to love who you are, and finally accepting who you were never meant to be. Catch your reflection. Take several hard stares at each and every insecurity you harbor. Understand that your harshest critic is the one person you cannot escape. Embrace that person tightly regardless. Break all social distancing rules to do so. Teach the children to honor everything Black, especially if it is themselves. Remember that the children most certainly includes you. Become a better version of yourself. Better at listening. Better at caring. Better because you lived to see this moment and because each one preceding it was in fulfillment of its promise. Make sure your heart is still beating and your soul remains earnest. Then emerge from your cocoon. Rub your eyes. Take note of your renewed surroundings. Yawn. Stretch until the blood reaches the tips of your fingers and toes. And prepare to begin the next era in your life's journey, fully transformed. Thank you so much. I appreciate everybody who joined for the poetry. We're gonna go into the Q&A, but thank you for sharing in and of this evening.
Obinna.
IJ.
Oh my God.
Take one.
Obinna, I've caught the Holy Ghost many times. Do you even understand what you wrote? I can't. I gotta just give myself one more second. All my papers are blown away. Obi, amazing. And I'm not even saying this because you're my brother, because you really are my brother for real. But in this grand pursuit of purpose, I have sacrificed my right to obliviousness. Poems have ruined some of my favorite clothes, bleeding mental stains. People, I don't think you heard me.
You know, that's actually really true, because I tend to walk around with pens, and it's because I like to write. And I've actually literally and figuratively had clothes ruined because of the pens I'm carrying around with the purpose of writing.
Today, there will be no more poetry for you. Memories fade like worn clothes. Tears, scars, daydreams, and fears. And Obilo, you know, somebody actually called me Jerome once.
That's terrible.
I brought that back.
That's terrible.
Yo, this book, tears, like pure laughter, like cringeworthy moments, but just like all real life things that people are experiencing in this time, like so incredibly well done. I'm in such awe. That I really am. I'm so proud of you. This is so amazing, and to like get to sit here and be a part of this, and you know, kind of ushering in this book and you into this new era of whatever this is going to bring. I'm just so incredibly proud. I have a question. Well, I mean, you said one of the things was based on real life. So I'm just curious, like how much of the book was based on like real life versus like, oh, I'm gonna like, you know, play on words here or something like that. I feel like all of it was real life because it felt too real, the whole thing.
So when I write, I've always written with the sense of sharing, and I kind of have a macro view of the world that comes through in my poetry. So I touch on like political things and what's going on globally. And what I found in this particular book when I first conceptualized it, and this is 16 years ago, is that I wanted the book to be more personal. I wanted to inject more of myself, not hide myself from the writing. And then you're in an environment where we're in COVID, and very much what I'm writing about is what's literally happening around me and around all of us. So there are things that are an extended metaphor or an allegory, but each and everything is grounded in my own personal truth.
That's so incredible. So we have a question from the audience.
Okay.
All right. What's been the most surprising part of rediscovering writing in 2020?
That I'm still nice.
That's for sure.
No, I did not.
I'm sorry, and to add, there was a 2-part question. Where is your fitted caps?
Oh, I was asked to remove the fitted caps from the background. I believe they're on the couch. Hold on a second. I'll get them later. I'll get them later. I have plenty of fitteds. That's never gonna change. I think the thing for me is that because one of the things that was holding me back from writing for a long time was, I'd write some stuff down, it would sound nice, but I just left it. I didn't feel like my voice was there anymore. And, now I feel like, my voice is back, and I'm just so happy that I've rediscovered it poetically in this time. It's been, again, I found this period to be quite revelatory in a number of ways. And for me, I think one of the revelations as a personal thing is that, I needed to go back to writing. I needed to find a way to center myself and ground myself, and writing helps me do that.
Awesome. So of course I'm already getting messages rolling in from mommy. She said I called you my little brother. I don't even know when I said that.
You said literal, but I thought it in my head, but I believe the word you were going for was literal.
Okay. So shout out to my mommy and my daddy, who are both on, and also our Auntie Mecca from Canada, and all of our cousins and everybody.
A lot of friends and family are on, and I thank everybody for joining. Happy to field any questions. I'm going to take a quick look at the comments.
What's your favorite poem from Memories of the Future?
See, that's like, okay, so it really depends on the moment in time. I'll be honest, because sometimes people will say they don't have a favorite poem. What I will say is, in terms of, so when you read the book, there are some pieces that have a title of the day, and those were written in this time over 100-day span. And then there are other pieces that were written outside of that 100-day span. And so I would say, in terms of the beginning, I guess like the poems that were written in an earlier era, Untitled Love Poem number 2 it resonates with me quite a bit. There's a number of them. There's just something about that poem that really sticks with me. And then I think in this new era of poems, and there's always sort of like a philosophical or like a strong-willed thing that I write in my end of my first book. There's a poem called Recyclables, and it's supposed to be uplifting and thoughtful. And I find that I've ended the book with a piece, and it took me weeks to write, but Day 100, How to Survive a Quarantine. It for me is, in the midst of everything that's happening, because I'm writing this through, the George Floyd assassination, through the assassination of Ahmaud Arbery, through, the assassination of Breonna Taylor, through, the Christian Cooper incident in Central Park. And there are all these flashpoints that are happening as we're in the midst of, and we're in the midst of this environment. And, I had to work my way through, like, how do I find myself back to a place of positivity and grace again? Because it was all these things were weighing on me and weighing on all of us collectively. And that piece came together in a way that I feel really speaks to the essence of who I am and how I kind of present myself. A little witty, but, try to be, insightful. So that's probably one of my favorite new poems.
Awesome. You describe your poetry and writing as touching on a host of ethno and socioeconomic constructs, and that readily explores intersectionalities of Blackness and African identities, and in an evolving geopolitical context. I had to memorize that.
Okay.
When you first said it to me, I wrote it on a sticky note because it was just so like, first of all, what are you talking about? I wrote it on a sticky note and I put it in my kitchen, and I would just look at it every day until like it could like sink into me. But talk to the people. Like, what does that mean? What does that even mean?
I think it's just a function of who I am, and for you, who you are as well. That our family emigrated from Nigeria to Quebec in Montreal, which is a French-speaking city and province, not even just in English, within the context of the English-speaking country. And so, having learned English, having, being an immigrant, having to adapt, and then we then moved to the United States, where, my Nigerianness was not really the thing, but being a Black kid in the suburbs, also being from Canada, was the thing that people harped on. And so I've always sort of lived in these dualities and trialities. And that's something that I, spend a lot of time focusing on and what I write about. I know there's a bunch of questions. And
I got them for you. Don't worry.
I just want to make sure, BJ, we good on time?
Well, no, we have about 2 minutes or so, but I think we can take it a little bit longer, just so we get some of the.
I want to be able to thank everybody. So.
Yeah, of course. So you knew the world your book was entering into, right? So what do you want for the world that follows its release? And that was from.
Oof. Wow. There are a lot of things. I just, again, I want us to continue to be better to each other in a lot of ways. I think one of the things that's come out through this time is people are more are more intentional. They reach out, they call, they ask how your family's doing, how are you doing, and they're I think people are more concerned and caring, with colleagues and with each other. And I think, hopefully that once we're able to reunite and come back together, that's something, that sense of community, that sense that I am my brother and my sister's keeper, remains. So that's, for me, in all contexts, is something that I really hope carries forth and is part of the world that we see going forward.
Nice. So what made you fall in love with poetry? And I think this will be the last question before we move into thanking folks.
Okay, thank you. So I'll be very brief about this one. You've seen 3 other friends and family. I love them like family as well, part of the Exolano Project. And so when I initially fell in love with writing and poetry was when I was about 6 years old. But when I fell in love with the art and writing spoken word, there's a great friend of mine, like another brother by the name of Carlos Andres Gomez, who is the founder of Exolano Project, along with Warren Longmire, who I believe was on earlier. And Carlos, we took our first college class together, and he reached out to me and he said, Obi, I think that this is something that would suit you. I think, you're articulate, you like underground hip hop and music and all these things. He came to me. And so, I came into this world, in this space, as a student, and I found my voice through this collective and this family. And now, as the folks who joined us this evening will say, there are younger people who now decide to go to the University of Pennsylvania, just to participate in the Exolano Project and be part of this family. So it is a testament to Los, as we call them, that I picked up the pen initially, and then just family and friends and everybody who continues to inspire me to this day.
Awesome. Well, congratulations, Obi, on your book. I want everyone to go right now, immediately, to hashtag Igwe.com. You can follow Obi on Instagram and other social media platforms. Look at it's running across the bottom and right there on your screen. I wanted to turn it back over to Obi to take the opportunity to thank a couple people. So Obi, back over to you.
Thank you. Can we get everybody on the screen if it's possible? I would love everybody who has participated this evening on the screen. Alicia, are you still there? We get Alicia. Okay. And BJ too. Get on the screen. So I think Alicia might have dropped off, but thank you so much, Justin, Court. Thank you, brothers, for your volunteering your time, your energy, your love. I thank you for helping me launch this project. Again, my website, #Igwe.com, is where you can go to get the books. The books are in the world. I'm about to pick them up very soon, actually, I think in the morning. And I'm excited to share this with everyone and bring it to you. I'd like to give a very, very special shout. My cousin Chizabah, she helped me with the design work for the flyers. And I'd like to give a very, very special shout to BJ, who's been behind the scenes working with us. Thank you, brother. You've given up your time, your talent, and your treasure to help make this a seamless virtual event. I don't feel like I'm separated from you all as a result of it, and it's very much a testament to you and helping us bring this together. So once again, Courtney, Justin, Alicia, EJ, thank you, Sister Face. EJ, thank you so much. Alicia, thank you for your words and your inspiration and your love. And everyone, thank you for joining us tonight. Hope you had a great time. Hope you enjoyed. I'm gonna unwind. I'm gonna relax and enjoy this moment. And again, I look forward to sharing this book with you and more things to come. And please check out my brothers who have art. Alicia, who also has art. My sister, who's doing a number of phenomenal things with our Family Foundation, Nigerian Healthcare Foundation, and emoji events. Everything that she does on the production side. A lot of great people and creatives are bringing things into the world. And we need to continue to support each other, especially at a time like this. So, much love to everyone, and thank you for joining. I appreciate it. Cheers.
Thank you. Congratulations.
You did it.
Wonderful event.